This is Max Mike coming to you with something to think about. It's no secret that the first bioplagues were released back in the 90s by the old USA. And they were effective. I mean, there's a reason non-synthetic drugs have become the stuff of a legend. It's pretty hard to make heroin if you drive opium poppies to extinction. But the plagues that came after, the ones that killed off the bananas, most varieties of wheat, or more recently, all the cows, where did those come from? Now, if you listen to the experts, they were naturally occurring mutations of existing diseases brought about by climate change and overcultivation. Yeah, like we've been hearing that for the last 70 years. But here's the truth. There's been an invisible war going on between rival agricorps for decades now. And the casualties? Your food supply. See, this started after Biotechnica developed a formula for mega yeast. That's the primary source of Chew-2, that stuff you put in your car. They learned that if they could control the organism and prevent competitors from growing their own, they could have a total monopoly even without trying to run the refineries themselves. Instead, they just outsourced that work to Petrochem. So they decided to apply the same strategy to the food market and prevent competitors from growing anything that wasn't a licensed Biotechnica brand. They started making Terminator crops, resistant to the naturally occurring plagues that ravaged North America during the collapse. But if you don't pay a yearly licensing fee, your crop just stops growing the next season. So what came next? Engineered viruses designed to kill anything that wasn't a licensed crop. Now, I've got friends at Biotechnica. You put enough boost into them so they can't lie anymore. They'll tell you that they didn't shoot first. Their European and South Am competitors started this war. And that may be true, but it doesn't change the fact that every year there are more crop failures, more extinctions, more plagues. Biotechnica today spends more money researching biological countermeasures to beat the competition than they do in growing crops or even on marketing. So you might want to think about that the next time you head down to your local All Foods to pick up your kibble and scop. So people, listen up, this is serious. I want you to think about this. You know the name Raymond. You know Moore, Dynalar, and of course, Kuroshi. They're the finest eye makers in the world. Probably you've got at least one of them in your skull right now, don't you? But do you ever wonder who's watching behind those eyes? I think it's time you do. Because those eyes aren't yours, you know. Somebody makes them, somebody programs them. Those moments you think are private, how can you be so sure no one's watching? The next time you're out doing a deal, think about it. Maybe when you pull the trigger on that job, the corporate manufactured your eyes has evidence. You think you aren't a target for blackmail? You better think hard about that last one, Chumba, and be honest with yourself. Where do you think they get the data sets for the newest brain dances? Probably your private life. But hey, don't limit your imagination, because the corporations sure don't. What if there's stuff they don't want you to see? A little chameleon filter there, some perception coding here, and suddenly they can decide what you even get to see. Who knows what they might want to hide from you? Spies, secret labs, facilities, and of course, that kick murder squad they sent to your door because you knew too much. So, you think seeing is believing? Not with these synthetic eyes. So people, let me talk to you about Trauma Team. You know them. You love them. And if you happen to live in Night City, they're basically the only game in town for your medical care. If you watch their ads or listen to the testimonials, they say they'll come to your aid in a pinch, patch you up, get you on your feet again. If you can pay. And that's a big if, folks. So what happens if you can't? Turns out our friends at Trauma Team might have a unique collection method. Missed too many payments? You might just find yourself the victim of a debt recovery team. It usually goes like this. So, you'll be minding your own business when a helpful Trauma Team rep will approach you and dose you with a quick-acting sedative. After it takes effect, the debt collectors scurry in, load you into one of their specialized transport. No one's going to stop them. After all, they're Trauma Team. You'll first be scanned for cyberware and natural organs. Your body will be compared to a continually updated database listing the prices for aftermarket parts and organs. You owe them 7,000 eddies from the time you fell down the stairs on the way back from the bar, so that's put up against the expected value of your parts. Huh. So is that a new Kuroshi eye you have there? Well, that's selling for about $3,000 and that's coming out. Nice heart you have there. Dynalar Cardio X model. Yeah, they'll take that too. Don't worry though, they're not gonna let you die. They are doctors after all. No, they'll quickly replace with the cheap knockoff from the USSR they pulled out of a guy who was gut shot in a shootout last week. Yeah, it's probably still good. The Dynalar minus the cost of installing the replacement, well, that's another 3,000 eddies. Yeah, we're getting there. Your liver looks a little damaged from too much drinking, but they can still get a decent K for it. And best part, it's an original. So as long as they don't take the whole thing, it'll grow back. Livers are great like that. You can be like a sheep, constantly shorn, again and again and again. So, now with your debt repaid, your account back into black, you're free to go. You wake up with a hangover and feeling kind of strange. But hey, for your trouble, they give you a voucher with a 6-month upgrade from silver membership to gold, and it's at no additional cost. That sounds like a good deal to me. Yeah. How about you? So hey people, listen up, I've got a story to tell. Goes back to an old friend of mine, a net runner whose name I can't say on air for reasons of personal and global security. And she once told me that she knew the real origins of the net. This friend, she's been around. She started running back before the data crash, when the deep net was open to all. She survived the crash, dodged the rabbits, persevered through the NetWatch purchase and watched the black wall go up with her own virtual eyes, and she's not one to make up fairy tales. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because what she told me seemed unbelievable at first. So she tells me after a bottle and a half of Joe Teal, Mike, she says, the net isn't what it seems. She continued by asking me a question. Why do you think Batrmoss named them demons anyway? Because that's what they are. Raish didn't invent the net, he discovered it. She looked me dead in the eyes and she said, the net is hell. And Batrmoss opened the door. So over the next few hours, she lays out her case. She talked about the similarities between, how did she put it, hyperfractus stratified computational data synthesis and the practices of the legendary Scholomance. She said that NetWatch has its origins in the Vatican and that the Black Wall sings in Aramaic. Now listeners, you know I'm a skeptical guy. I don't run every rumor I hear despite what my detractors might say. And I might have kept this one to myself if it weren't for the fact that I've known her for ages. And she's not a kook. So what do you folks think? I'd love to hear from some of the runners in my audience. I'm here to listen. So people, listen up, I've got a story to share with you. Recently, I've been hearing about this monk that's been walking around nice city streets, healing the sick, but only those he deems worthy. Some of my listeners seem convinced that it's none other than Raish Batrmoss. Raish Batrmoss. Yeah, you know, the guy, the chief architect of the net, and later its badass destroyer. The rumor has always been he got taken out by a kill sat in the early days of the Fourth Corporate, but no one ever took responsibility for that strike. Is it possible Batrmoss set his creations wildly and faked his own death? Did he bring down the net he created because it had turned into another tool the corporations could use to track us